Mhm. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello from South Africa. So happy for you to join me this morning. I think you can hear in the background some lovely African sounds. They're called guinea fowl, bush chickens. Hi, Michelle. I miss you so much too. Just welcome to Saturday morning live with me, Reverend Denise Schubert. I am here to simply be with you every Saturday morning to talk about something meaningful, hopefully, to engage in a conversation that uplifts and inspires and somehow helps us to create a happier, more balanced, spiritually balanced life. If you're with me, please check in so I can know that I'm not here talking to myself, though I definitely know Michelle and I are here, so that's awesome. My sister Janelle just left South Africa. She was here for 2 weeks, and my very good friends Eileen and Vincent Jenna just arrived. They are busy unpacking their suitcases. We will venture out this evening. Hi, Les. So I've had a wonderful week. If you've read my blog, you will know that I just spent 3 days at Umlani, which is a bush camp, and saw some wonderful animal sightings and just had a great time with my sister. It's really the most spectacular thing to be out in the middle of the African bush, just doing whatever it is that one does out there. Nature is always a source of inspiration to me and continues to inspire me really with new ideas and new thoughts every day. So today we're going to talk about a little bit what I talked about in my blog, which is really drawing the distinction for ourselves between nouns and verbs in life, and really more specifically, whether or not you're a noun or you're a verb, or I'm a noun or I'm a verb. You know, that as you all know, I am deeply committed to us living powerful, authentic lives that all of the news, people have brought me the news from America this week and the tragedy in Texas, and just do not think for a second that there isn't something to talk about today, because as long as we have the kind of suffering that we have that would allow, that would even make possible what happened in Texas or what happens with Ukraine. It doesn't really matter. It's like human beings without a spiritual foundation are crazy people. So we need a spiritual foundation. We need to think about life differently. We need to think about ourselves differently. So let's talk about verbs and nouns today. But before we do that, I'm going to speak in a past. To bless something is to call it sacred. And so I want our time together to be sacred time, to be meaningful time, to be spirit infused time. So join with me. I know it's early there for you, but join with me as I simply invite us to turn within together, to recognize in this moment that we are connected. Whether we're a minute away from each other or miles away from each other, we are connected. We are connected to each other. We're connected to every animal, every plant, that we live on a web of connection, just like a spider web. And whatever happens on one web, on one part of the web, reverberates all over. It's not possible for us to be separated from or cut off from all that is. I know that there is a power and a presence that is intelligent, that is infinite beauty and wisdom. I call it God, but you can call it quantum physics, you can call it love, that we did not create ourselves. So there is something that undergirds and cradles existence, and the nature of that is love. That is the truth. Anything unlike love is an illusion, and we mostly live in an illusion of something other than love. So I bless our time together from that connection, calling it good and very, very good, accepting that each one of us, if we got ourselves up this morning and bothered to come on, that there's something to be heard or something to be said. And so I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this time together. Just let this be, and so it is. Amen. All right. Hey, sis, I miss you too. Come back, come back. Though somebody's in your room now, so you have to wait till they move out, but come back, come back. So, So I spoke this week of this idea of this misidentification that we do with ourselves, which kind of follows the words I am. I am a woman. I am a teacher. I am a mother. I am a nurse. I am a doctor. You can even use it where we say, I am stupid, or I am selfish, or I am beautiful, even. But this idea of identification and labels keeps us more often stuck than free. And in my world, I'm really way more interested in freedom than I am in having a label or than I am in being stuck. This all got started for me with my good friend Bill talking about retiring this fall, this October, and needing at that time to repurpose himself. And I love that. I love that idea of repurposing, because it simply just means to find, to not think that your purpose is to be an employee of a company or to be a doctor, that your purpose is not to be a mother. It's just something that we do because as time passes, things will change. And as things change, we will need to find a new identity, a new something to do, a new way to be. And if we don't do that, then it leads us to a great deal of suffering. So to live life as a noun is to live life as kind of an isness. I am this. And the I am this can be restrictive. The I am this can be limiting and limited. The you are that can, have you ever had somebody define you in such a way that you felt like you got put into a box that you can't get out of? Because if someone thinks you're a certain way, do you know how hard it is to change their mind about what they think about you? Or how hard it is for you to change your mind about what you think about them or what you think about you? Another way of finding this in yourself is if you deal with absolutes. Always, never, right? To say it's always this way or it's never this way, or if, it shows up a little bit in our language about our family and what we inherited from our family. So to say something like, well, all the women in my family have this problem, or it's always been this way through generations and generations. Now, that may or may not be true, but as a metaphysician, you can't separate out that you're saying so makes it true, right? That is the conundrum of metaphysics. Is it that way because it's that way, or is it that way because you say it's that way? We have many ways of expressing this. You can say the world will be to you what you are to the world. What you see is what will be. Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. The Buddha said, the world arises in your consciousness. And all of that is actually addressing the question, is something the way it is as a reality, or is something the way it is as a descriptive adjective, as a perception on the part of the perceiver? Quantum physics says that that which is being observed and the observer cannot be separated, that they are intimately connected in kind of really fundamental and wonderful ways. Now, I thought that what would really be great is to kind of take this all the way down. So I want to go as deep as we can go with this, because in the philosophy, faith, and way of life that I practice, I would say something like, you are made in the image and likeness of God. That life made you out of itself, and all that you are is whatever that life is. So if you don't like the word God for any reason, you can just use life, right? So if God is intelligence, you are intelligence. If God has beauty, you are beauty, because you are made by that. So when we talk about who you are really, what your purpose is really, what your nature is really, we're not talking about your conditioning. We're not talking about the kind of human being that you are, because the kind of human being that you are is totally dependent on how you've been environed, your environment, right? So depending on the attitude and beliefs of your parents, depending on the attitude and beliefs of your culture, of your gender, um, all of those things form our relationship to the world. And all of those things are behind what you and I would call sin or evil, or, I promise you that being made in God's image and likeness out of love and beauty and intelligence, you don't go take a gun into a high school and kill kids. You just don't. That's not what God does. So whatever God is and whatever God does is who you are and what you do. And so to step into a spiritual identity is to step into the truth, that the truth with a capital T, of who you and I really are. And we want to get there because getting there allows us to live life more authentically, to live life more as life intended to be lived. It is really what I've been talking about with the animal kingdom. It really is that nature does what it does. Nature is this kind of natural evolving, this natural evolution of relationships and expression. Even if a leopard eats an antelope, that is a natural expression in nature. And I talked this week about how all of that has this kind of perfection. Now, obviously, a human being killing a rhinoceros in order to poach its horn is not of God. It's not of the spirit. God did not intend for a rhino to be killed so that its horn can be used to keep, Asian men virile. It's a conditioned. It's a human thing that we want to truly, as a species, to get past. But today, I really wanted to look at why you are a verb instead of a noun. Like, how can we really, really move into this idea that we're fluid, and that through our 70 years, or, well, as I spoke earlier also, the 81 years, right? So American women now will live, statistically speaking, 81 years on average. That during those 81 years, we are never one thing. We're never stuck really with anything as men or women. Obviously, I'm talking about men and women equally. That we are meant to be fluid, to change, and we don't do that very well. In fact, if change were easy, we'd all have changed already, and we would all be living lives of purpose and lives of meaning and fulfillment and authenticity and happiness. We'd be loving each other and supporting each other. Everyone would be fed. There would be no more wars. We wouldn't be poaching rhinos. That if we were all to take on the mantle of our true identity, we would be living in a more authentic way. And we would be living in a fluid way, an evolving way, because we do evolve. I mean, remember I attended a New Year's Eve event with Marianne Williamson in Los Angeles. And she was, I don't know if any of you have heard her speak, but she is quite cheeky. And she was admonishing everyone there really about growing up. I remember her looking out and saying, how many of you are over the age of 15? Almost everybody raised their hand. She goes, do you realize it's time to grow up? That you can't continue to be 18 years old or 6 years old or 25 years old as you grow, that we have to mature. And I would say that we have to spiritually mature, which means to give up resentment, give up anger, give up jealousy, give up trying to be best, give up winning, give up trying to be right, and to simply live in a consciousness of wanting it to work out for everyone. Now, I don't know why I'm getting off track here. Hi, Michael. But I want to say to you that we have to rethink God, because we, meaning human beings, organized religion desperately wants to make God a noun. Like God is. Like God is a thing. Like a God is like a rock, or a God is like a tree or a person. Like there's like this structure and identity. And for most, not all, but for most organized religions, God is a person, just a better person than us, right? And I think that's a mistake, because then we can live within the consciousness that said God created the earth and created people and then shook his hands and walked away, and look what we've done. Some religions believe that God punishes or inflicts harm on human beings for not doing it right. Right? Some religions believe that God is actually responsible for famines and disasters and tragedies. And that can't possibly be true. It cannot possibly be true, because in the natural world, when you look and you're just present, you will see and you will have a firsthand experience that everything is as it should be, that there is a kind of verb of becoming. I like that word the most, like a kind of becoming that happens. You're becoming, animals are becoming, the world is becoming, that there is this evolution. So I would suggest to you that God is also a verb, that God, that because we are connected, and because, let's see, I'm going to try to articulate this in a way that feels rather obvious to me, but maybe not so obvious to all, is that we live in a field of unity and oneness. I am what thou art what I am. God and I are one. You and I are one. You and I and God are one. It's just one thing, not 7 billion things, right? Not 7 billion people and 18 billion spiders and 27 billion snakes. It's not like we're separate. We are an evolving entity, a pulsing, throbbing movement. We're in movement. And so if that's true, then we can maybe also think of God as also evolving as you and as me. So if love is the foundational idea, if beauty is a foundational idea, and if consciousness or thought is the creative medium in which evolution takes place, then you and I play a key role in the evolution of everything. It's not like our behavior can please God or displease God. It's not like what we do can make God mad or make God happy, because we are the thing itself. So the entire thing rests in each of us fully. So as you do your awakening process, as you mature spiritually, as you decide to change your mind about the noun you think you are, or the noun you think life is, right? If we can soften around what we think is good and bad, or right and wrong, which, by the way, it's all in movement. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong, because I promise you, wherever you think you're right, somebody else thinks you're wrong. And then who's right? I mean, it's interpretation from the top to the bottom. It's perception, top to bottom. There is no, I think I said, there are no nouns, only descriptions of things perceived in a moment. And that when we allow our perception to shift, what we're calling reality shifts. When you change your mind about yourself will change. Right? If it's actually, it actually lives in me a little bit simply, and not that it's not challenging. The truth is to question your thoughts, to question your actions, to question your belief systems, on every possible way is challenging, because nobody wants to do that, because we think we're right. We think we have the answers. We think our viewpoint is the correct viewpoint, but it's not. It's just a viewpoint. Now, I want to make this a little bit practical, because we need to know how to manage ourselves. Forget about other people. You're never going to manage other people. You know that. You know that already, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much you think somebody is wrong. They're not going to change their ways because you think that. Nobody's going to do what you want them to do. Nobody's going to put their bodies where you want their bodies to be, because everybody's their own mini God, or they're their old mini me, and they're going to do what they do. So you can only manage yourself. And here's the clue. Here's a little insight into how you manage yourself. It's too simple to really say out loud, but if you find yourself unhappy or angry or tense, full of anxiety, if you're mad at someone, that's your clue. This is your clue that you are disconnected from your true self, or from the being that you have been made in the image and likeness of. So if you're angry, you've just forgotten something. And that doesn't mean we don't get angry. I'm not really saying that either, but rather than being angry, really what should be really happening is your heart should be a little bit broken, because when a kid takes a rifle into a high school and kills other kids, that's nothing to celebrate, because it just points to how far off track we are. In Science of Mind or New Thought teachings, we talk about sin as missing the mark. It's an archery term that means you've missed the mark. So when we do something unloving, or do something hateful, or feel or beat ourselves up or other people up with our words, or even in the train of our own minds, we're just missing the mark, because love is the fabric of the universe. Love is the fabric of you. So whenever you're feeling off, just see if you can bring yourself back to a loving place. Like to shine a light, authentic place, to shine the light of spiritual truth on that situation. Because remember, we're all crazy. And we're all crazy because the ego is crazy. The ego's coin that it navigates life with is jealousy and rage, and being one up on somebody and keeping them stuck and being wrong. But I can't remember who said it, but some author said, when you live by an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, the only thing that happens is everybody walks around blind with no teeth. It doesn't contribute to the spiritualization of our society. What contributes to the spiritualization of our society is you becoming more spiritual. Meaning you allow the spirit that is the truth of who you are to become more active in your everyday living than the ego that you are. And it's not easy to do, because when you read the newspaper and that person that you don't like, or who's rude to you or mean to you, or when that happens, then we want to fight back. It's the most natural thing in the world, is to want to give as good as you get. But I'm telling you that as long as we do that, instead of trying to bring love to the table, we continue not only to be less happy than it's possible for us to be, less healthy than it's possible for us to be, less abundant than it's possible for us to be, less authentic than it's possible for us to be. I'm one who can tell you I don't think I have any doubt about this at all, is that if you get in sync with the infinite, your life will begin to magically, almost miraculously, begin to unfold in exactly the way you want it to unfold. That people, places, and situations will align with you, that you won't have to struggle, fight, or make things happen, that we are connected, right? So your mind and my mind are connected on the unseen side of life. Your mind, my mind, and the mind of God are connected on the unseen side of life. So in order to really manifest a life that pleases you and that is contributes to the overarching well-being of everyone, requires that we know that and that we live that truth as much as we can in every day. And by the way, it is a practice, not perfection. It's not like you're going to get it perfect. I think once we get it perfect, we then don't have to stay here and work at it too much anymore. So the invitation this week is to begin to think of life. Think of yourself, first of all, as a verb. So try to not put too many things at the end of your I am sentence. Even things like I am sad. Maybe even just to stop identifying. So if sadness is moving through you, to say sadness is moving through me and not make it who you are. If illness is moving through you, I would even stop saying things like I have a cold, I have cancer, I would stop saying that as well. I would just, because everything is in motion, everything is evolving, everything is becoming. So, so to have a cold moving through you gives it some permission to leave you, right? If you're having trouble with money temporarily, just say, I'm having temporary money problems, but I am holding the truth of my abundance. If you do that, abundance will find you more easily, I promise you. So think of yourself as a verb. Think of yourself as an ever-changing entity in the heart of God, that you can change. Your attitudes can change, your belief systems can change, your situation can change, your circumstances can change, the people in your life can change. Everything can change. It is the nature of creation. And the reason it's a nature of creation is because the Creator itself, however you want to think about that, is also a verb, is also changing. As we evolve, God evolves. As God evolves, we evolve. It's a cycle of never-ending evolution. And this is true, by the way, whether you are alive or dead. Your death does not mean the end of anything. It is just yet one more evolution into another state of consciousness, another state of being. So, well, Connie, that's good. Glad. So this is Chippy. Say hi to Chippy. This is Chippy the squirrel. He's a friend of the family's. He came to say hello to you. I think he just peed on me. Thank you, Chippy. So think of yourself as a verb. Think of life as an ever-changing something. Nothing is concrete. You are not stuck anywhere. And I'm if you've been watching for any length of time, you know that that's true. And I keep wanting to prove it. And I prove it not just for myself, but I prove it so that you know, so that you absolutely can know. Because if it's true for me, it can be true for you, right? If it could be true for you, it could be true for your children. If it could be true for your children, it'll be true for their children. I think the best thing we can all hope for, really, in life and to strive for, hope's not quite strong enough, to strive for, is that we leave a footprint in our wake that speaks more of the spirit and less of the ego. Do you say yes to that? I say yes to that. My friend Vinny is here. I wanted to have him come say hello to you, but I'm not quite sure where he is in the moment. But no Zooming anymore after the call. That wasn't particularly fruitful for anyone. Nobody really wanted to do that, so we're going to let the Zooming go for now. But I will be back. I will be back next Saturday. So two things. One is if you're not getting my blog, you can get it. You can just go to www.deniseschubert.com. You can sign up and you will get my weekly blog and all the beautiful photos here from Africa. I do have a plan. I actually am leaving South Africa on September 17th, going back to the United States for a minute or a reason or a season. I'm not quite sure how long that will be. If you want to support my ministry and the work that we're doing here, you can also just go to my website, or you can just do /donations, and I welcome them always as just support for being here and doing this with you. And Otherwise, I think we're complete for the day. I'm going to pray us out. The three of us are going to Thirsty Giraffes. Would you like me to share with you before I pray? Here, I'll share with you my friend. I have a friend here. Where is he? Oh, yeah, there he is. This is a male Nyala, Nyala, who's come to visit during our blog. And he is a beauty. He is a beauty. So, all right. So let's pray. So I'm going to note for you, I don't know exactly what you want prayer for, but I think we all can want a more fulfilling and authentic life expression. I think we all can want for less violence, for more peace, for less hunger, more feeding of children, and really overall well-being, kindness, and love, and quality of life for all beings everywhere, no matter where they live. So let's pray for that together. Simply knowing comfort for the families of all of those in Texas, the comfort of the families of all of those in Ukraine. Really, really, once we stop being mad at everyone, then we can let our hearts break, and we can open ourselves in compassion to know that people can change and that situations can change. And so join with me once again by turning within into that space and place and dimension within us that is connected to the infinite, that is connected to the one life, the one power, the one presence that I call God or Spirit, that you can call anything you want. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. And we simply, from that connection, give thanks for our time here today. I simply speak my word, knowing that the word that we speak is powerful and creative. The word you speak is powerful and creative. The words we speak are a law unto themselves. They are a creative agency that moves forward from us out into this physical universe that is in movement, that our words cause molecules to move. And so the word that I speak for each and every one of us is to simply call forth the power of the Spirit within us, to call forth the power of change within us, to simply know that love is the truth, peace is the truth, abundance is the truth, love is the truth. And so we stand in that truth. We take a stand for the stand of love as a truth of life. And I know that as we do this, love begins to appear more consistently in your life experience. As we take a stand for the truth of health, health begins to express itself through the body temple more powerfully and potently. This is true for every quality of existence that we have, whether it's abundance, health, love, peace, joy, wisdom. Take a stand for it, because your stand is the only thing that makes any difference. And so I'm grateful for the time we have today that moves forward from our time into the daily activity of our life, that we revel in our becoming. We let loose of the firms of our attachments, and we move forth fluently to the fluidity of our changes. And so I'm grateful for you, grateful for the time together. We simply allow this to be. We accept it for ourselves wholeheartedly, resisting not at all, and in gratitude we be. And so it is. Amen, amen, ashe. All right, beloveds, another wonderful day. Thank you for taking the time to join me, and I will speak to you later on this week through words, and I'll see you next Saturday morning in person. Okay, peace and blessings. Wonderful. Bye.